Hey, sports fans, 4th&99 has another exciting show for you tonight. So join David, Keith, and Matt as they discuss how the bye week benefited the Broncos, contract extensions and what they mean, Thanksgiving football games, and much, much more. Make sure that you tune in tonight at 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time to 4th&99.
Broadcasting from the heart of the Colorado Rockies, it's 4th&99 with your hosts, David Slade, Keith Brookman, and Matt Stappiero. Now let's talk football here on 4th&99.
All right, good evening, sports fans. How you doing this evening? Welcome to another episode of 4th&99. I'm David. I'm joined by, as usual, by Matt.
Hey.
Matt, how you doing this evening? And we got Keith along with us as well. Keith, how you doing tonight?
Doing fantastic, Dave. How about yourself?
Doing well, doing well. Hey, before we roll too far, let's go ahead and mention our sponsor, Willow Seasonings and Blends. They add a little bit of spice to your life, so go ahead and check them out. All right, guys, Broncos coming off a bye week. Sort of a lot to talk about, even just coming off a bye week. Let's dive into this really quick. And we're going to talk we'll start out with injuries, COVID, things like that, where we're at. So, Matt, we got Garrett Bowles, who, had his injury, missed 2 weeks, and now he's tested for COVID. Not sure if he's going to go or not. He has to test negative two consecutive days. I don't know where he's at on that, so we'll find out later in the week. But could be another shot for Calvin Anderson to try out, or maybe prove that he can be the guy at right tackle. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think he's stepped in and he's played well. I know he made a statement earlier that he likes playing left tackle. That was natural to him. That was his position in college. But, I mean, if anything, he's been playing relatively well in this fill-in role. And Bobby Massey's on an expiring contract. Calvin Anderson's on an expiring contract. I mean, he has. It's to the point where he's had enough of time with Denver for them to know if this is the guy or not. Is this the guy that I can step in at right tackle? He's going to be cheaper than what it would be to bring back Bobby Massey. It's going to be cheaper than what it would be to go and pursue someone out, a big name on the market. I mean, he's homegrown and he's with Mike Munchak. I guess the big thing is going to be who's going to be coaching staff next year. Who's the offensive line coach? Because if new line coach may want to completely, target right tackle and say, I have a guy in the draft. So that's really what it's going to be. But I do think there's a good chance Calvin Anderson comes back. But I think if he's not going to be given the right tackle spot, just hand it over. I think he's going to have to battle for it.
Right. No, and I agree with that. And Keith, I mean, if Bowles comes back, I mean, what part of the game do you think that really improves the most? The running game for us, the passing game? I mean, where do you think we get the most benefit with Garrett Bowles coming back?
For me, it's going to be in the passing game. I think he anchors that side very well. He's developed really well. He's always been a great pass blocker, but now he's a great NFL pass blocker. But I think secondarily, it's all in his leadership as well. He anchors that side and gives leadership to everyone down that side of the line. He's turned his whole game around, his career around. At one point, we wanted him gone because of penalties. Now he's one of the least penalized guys, and he's one of the best rated blockers in the league when he's on the field.
Yeah, definitely. So question for both of you guys, and we'll go with Matt first. So this week, whoever's lining up at left tackle is going to face Joey Bosa. So do you want Calvin Anderson out there who's played the last 2 weeks, and sort of gotten into a rhythm, and he's played decently, if you ask me? Or do you want a Garrett Bowles who's coming off an injury, just recovering from COVID? I mean, what's your thoughts, Matt?
I would leave Anderson out there because the one thing we know with Garrett Bowles is he's known to get in his own head at times. And we see holding penalties, out of position, poor technique when he gets inside his head. It's something he's admitted is an issue at times. This may not be the best game to send a not fully healthy Garrett Bowles back to. Joey Bosa can wreak havoc. Joey Bosa has given Garrett Bowles a difficult time in the past. And the one thing you don't want is the guy you just paid all the money to get inside his own head and have a disastrous end to this season just because he wasn't ready to come back. We've had, discussions about other players coming back too soon from injury. We could talk about the Teddy Bridgewater. We could talk about the Patrick Surtain. Well, while they both had their ups and pros and cons, it's the same question here. We don't really know what his health is. We don't know how big of an impact COVID had on him. We don't really know where the ankle's at. Just because you're cleared, to come back doesn't mean you're 100%. So I would sit him one more week, and let's see what happens.
So, and Keith, the same question to you. I mean, would you rather roll Garrett Bowles out there, or would you rather just let Calvin Anderson continue going and let him have a shot at Joey Bosa?
Yeah, kind of the same but different reason, I guess, for me. I would go with Calvin Anderson. I think right now we're in a roll, and I just want to continue to see him out on the field. He's been playing well. I don't think that Garrett Bowles is going to be 95%. Matt said over and over and over again, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know, but I doubt he's 95% and able to take the field. So that being said, unless he's basically 100% healthy, I'm not putting him on the field. I'm going to put Calvin Anderson out there, and I'm going to let him roll. So the only thing I would say is, as Matt, I just have to disagree with you, Matt, as far as one thing. I got to disagree. Teddy Bridgewater was not hurt that bad. And I know that we've had that discussion in the past, but we're going to have that again another day, I'm sure.
We'll for the sake of the show today, I'll let you have this one, Keith.
All right, yeah, we'll table that. So
absolutely.
And then we got a comment from Buana Beast. Anderson's footwork is the big question, and going against somebody as athletic as Joey Bosa, and Joey Bosa looked like a beast the other night. Of course, he was going against a Pittsburgh offensive line that's just destroyed, with injuries and everything else. But yeah. Joey Bosa looked really good. I'm not sure, but I don't want to. I agree with Matt. I don't want to roll Garrett Bowles out there and let the guy have a bad game, and then next thing you know, it's in his head, and then we got problems. So.
Yeah, right. I mean, Garrett Bowles, I mean, he's come very far from where he was. Or he wouldn't have gotten the large contract. He's worked on some of those mental issues. He's credited Mike Munchak for a lot of that. So if he did come out and did play this week and he did make those mistakes, I'm confident that he could come back from it. I mean, his resiliency is shown through, and that's why he got the large contract. So I have faith in him if he does come out and have a bad game that he will bounce back.
Okay. All right, let's move on. This guy's been off the field for a long time. Keith, Bradley Chubb, how do they handle him? Are they going to limit him? The guy's had a lot of time to rest up, so.
Yeah, the question is are they going to, or will they? And if anything we've seen, as Matt was pointing out, we haven't been a very tentative team in making sure that players coming back from injuries don't get playing time. I mean, they get plenty of playing time. They're starters, and they're starters throughout the entire game. I think if he comes back, if he's out on the field, I expect him to be out there, at least, 75, 80% of his workload, if not more, from where he was at before. So whether that's the right plan, I'm not sure. It's worrisome to me that he's been out there so long tending to this injury. And I know a bye week makes it a little bit longer, maybe fictitiously, but it's been a long time since we've seen Bradley Chubb. It's time for him to hit the field.
Yeah, it definitely has been a long time. I sometimes even forget the guys on our roster sometimes. So until Matt brings him up, and every time Matt brings him up, he brings up this thing. Is Bradley Chubb a bust? And I hate to use that term, especially for somebody who's dealing with injuries. Because we all know Bradley Chubb has the talent. When Bradley Chubb is healthy, he is very good. So I don't want to label him a bust. I mean, what's your opinion on that, Keith?
Oh, skipping Matt. I see how it is.
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
We'll come to you, Matt. We're going to let you finish it up.
Fine.
I mean, you got. Unfortunately, it's almost like I thought you were going to say. You said sometimes I forget he's on the team, and then you said because of his injury. Well, sometimes I forget he's on the team when he's on the field. So, in my opinion, yeah, I think in some ways he is a bust just because like you said, he's very good. Well, very good for the draft pick that we took in him is not good enough. You just talk about a guy like Joey Bosa. That's what a draft pick looks like when you're taken at the top of the board. So for me, between injuries and then his overall performance, he hasn't shown me anything when he's not on the field without Von Miller on the field as well. If those two are on the field, yeah, he can shine, but anybody can shine when Von Miller's on the other side in his prime. So, yeah, I'd say, he's definitely, in my opinion, there's not much. Maybe if he comes back at the end of the season, he puts on a show, maybe he's not a bust, but he's sure leaning that way.
All right, Matt.
Okay. Well,
Less
I'll
than
be nice.
500 words.
Not going to happen. It's never going to happen.
It has to happen, Matt. We got a show.
We
got a clock we got to attend to.
I will be nice, and I will not label him a bust yet because it's difficult to evaluate it because of the injuries. But what I will say is where it's trending kind of, similar to what Keith said. This was a gentleman who was taken with the 5th overall pick. There was franchise quarterbacks possibly on the board. There was an all-pro offensive guard on the board who people were automatically saying this guy's a Hall of Fame lock. And our management team felt this confident that this guy would be such a dominant force on the field that it was worth investing in right now when you had a quality guy like Shaq Barrett, possibly, you already had Von Miller, but they felt that Bradley Chubb was going to be a game changer. And due to injuries, we haven't been able to see that. But when we've seen him on the field with Von Miller, yeah, he's been a game changer. But when we've seen him by himself, he was getting beaten up by double teams. He was still getting pressures. It was just not an overly efficient rate. We compare him to the counterpart in Von Miller, who beats double teams all the time. He just has not lived up to the prowess of what you would think a top 5 pick would be. And if he can't come back, if he does come back and he can't show that he could be dominant with, Bradley Cooper, I'm not Bradley Cooper. What am I saying? Jonathan Cooper. Then I don't know. Or even Malik Reed. We've seen him just get eaten alive last year by double teams, and he had a Pro Bowl season. But it's still, we ask ourselves, was it dominant? And it wasn't, and I don't think it will be.
No, and I get where both of you are coming from. A guy that's picked at that spot in the draft is supposed to be a difference maker, and he just hasn't done it. I just hate to use the word bust. But we'll talk about bust later in the show too.
I like this comment really here. But Wanna Beast comes in and says, honestly, I thought Chubb was going to the Browns that year at 4. Do you know how bad I wish he would have went to the Browns at 4?
Well, there's a whole bunch there are a lot of Bronco fans that wish the Browns would have taken him at 4, Matt. So,
do you know why?
Unfortunately, that's water under the bridge and nothing we can do about it. So
that's true.
All right. So we just need to come out. We need to see Bradley Chubb make an impact the rest of the season. And hopefully we can move away from that bust tag. Stay healthy. And do you guys agree? Stay healthy and, at least have some sort of impact, have some game-changing plays. Is that what you need to see from this guy to say, you know what, I'm not going to count him out as a bust yet? Keith?
I need to see him dominate his side of the line. I need to see him take double teams and beat double teams. I need to see him, be the sack master that he's supposed to be. He's number 5. He's number 5 pick. He should be dominating one side of the line. And if he's taking that double team and Cooper's getting sacks, so be it. I can take that, but he has to be dominant on that side.
Yeah. And Matt, same thing really quick, and then we're going to move on to our next topic.
He's gonna have to be. Denver did just, pick up his 5th-year option earlier this year. He's looking at, a little over $12 million towards the cap next season. If you're going to get paid $12 million, we need to see some production next year.
Right. So maybe if he comes back, plays well, maybe he's a trade piece in going after one of these veteran quarterbacks. So, all right,
risky business.
George Payton was a busy guy this week, and it's only Tuesday. So he's been a busy guy. So we locked up our top 2 receivers, Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick. I mean, Cortland Sutton signs a 4-year, $60.8 million deal. Tim Patrick signs a 3-year, $30 million deal. So we're sitting and we're looking at what, 90 or 34 million. I'm sorry. So we're looking at $94 million, almost $95 million for 2 receivers. So I got a question. James Merlat, 104.3 The Fan. I'm sure everybody knows who he is. He wrote an article today, and everyone save your shots because James will be on the show next week, and you guys can come. You can ask him all the questions you want about why he thinks that Jerry Jeudy is a bust and the Broncos are deeming him a bust by these moves that they just made. So I want to get your opinion, Matt. I mean, do you think that the Broncos are giving up on Jerry Jeudy already?
No. It's an asinine thought. I'll have to get James' reasoning, or I have not had a chance to read this article, but it just blatantly no. You want less than 500 words? There it is. No. He's not a bust. He's got elite footwork. Yes, he's battled some injuries. He's had drops last year, but what we've seen on the field this year has been an improved product. Unfortunately, he did have the injury, but we've hit this on the show how many times. The biggest thing that Jerry Jeudy provides is a distraction. He takes up the middle. He captivates the middle of the field because of his route running ability and what he can do when he gets the ball in his hand. I can't believe anyone would deem him a bust this quickly. I mean, is he putting up CeeDee Lamb numbers? No. Is he putting up Justin Jefferson numbers? No. But what do they also have? They have a legitimate quarterback. It's kind of hard to label a receiver a bust when you haven't had a legitimate quarterback, throwing the ball. So no, he's not a bust. What I will say though is these contract extensions do make me wonder if he is expendable. That doesn't mean he's a bust, but has he become expendable, especially when we talk about pursuit of moving up in the draft, targeting a young rookie quarterback that way, targeting a veteran quarterback. I mean, the wide receiver room, it was crowded, and now it's it's going to stay crowded. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle Jerry Jeudy moving forward.
Okay, Keith. So we talked about Bradley Chubb. You draft a guy that high. The guy's a difference maker. He's a playmaker. He's, that's why we're sort of sitting here saying, is Bradley Chubb a bust? Jerry Jeudy drafted what, 15th? 15th pick. That guy's supposed to be a difference maker. He's not a difference maker. He wasn't a difference maker last year. He had drop problems, He's done all right this year. I mean, nothing, flashy or
Teddy Bridgewater.
I mean, what?
Teddy Bridgewater is the quarterback still.
Anyway, Keith, what are your thoughts? I mean, is Jerry Jeudy trending towards being a bust?
Me and Matt are just going to be in agreement. I was about crying after his last segment, how much he was, in complete agreement with me and on Bradley Chubb. And I'm going to be in agreement here. I don't think you can judge a wide receiver in this offense as a bust or a non-bust. I don't think that A, he's being used to his full potential, and B, I think, yeah, he had a terrible first year. His drops were driving me crazy, but this last year, before the injury, after the injury, I think he's performing quite well. I don't consider him bust material at all. If anything, I just see upside. I loved what I saw from him in the offseason. He worked hard. His training camp looked fantastic. His footwork was wonderful, and then he goes out and he gets an injury. So he's on his way back. Give him a little bit of time. Don't declare him a bust yet, especially in an offense like this. I would say a Pat Shurmur offense, not a Teddy Bridgewater offense, but that's okay.
Good point. It's very good point. He's got two things working against him right now. But I want to pose a question. I'm hijacking the show for a second. I want to pose a question to you, Dave. We talking about Jerry Jeudy. Let's talk about the counterpart wide receiver that was drafted the same year in KJ Hamler, who's not really seen the field. Unfortunately, he's been oft injured, and when he has actually been on the field, it's been a minimal impact. I mean, is he a distraction? Sure, but he hasn't really been utilized to his potential. Granted, I know you're probably going to go off the crutch of we don't have a quarterback who can throw the ball deep. We have Pat Shurmur's offense. But I want to pose that question to you. Is KJ Hamler closer to being a bust than Jerry Jeudy?
Okay, first off, Matt, I'm not going to use the cop-out that you used about a we don't have a quarterback in Pat Shurmur. KJ Hamler was drafted in the second round. He was drafted as a speed guy that is here to take the top off the defenses. He's not drafted to be your number one wide receiver that Jerry Jeudy was. Jerry Jeudy, who you drafted as your number one guy, you just signed two guys to huge contracts, That sort of signals to me that, hey, maybe the Broncos aren't confident that this guy can be the number one guy. So we need to wrap up Tim Patrick and we need to wrap up Cortland Sutton. But
I think where you're wrong there.
There you go.
I think KJ Hamler is trending to more of a bust than Jerry Jeudy.
We just signed two guys to huge contracts, big contracts. I look at those contracts and I think they are fantastic contracts.
Oh,
I
they
think
are.
They're cheap
deals.
Contracts. I think that gives you plenty of room to still make signings that you need to sign, and it doesn't count out. It certainly doesn't count out Jeudy in my mind. KJ Hamler, I think, might have to be coming in at a little bit bigger of a discount in comparison to where he was at in the past. If he wants to stay with this Broncos team, maybe even take over just some returning duties. But
that's where he's going.
I don't think at all that these signings signaled, especially from a dollar perspective. I think they're great signings, and I just want to not to hijack the show myself, but I just want to say
this all you want.
This is a complete different team than what we've seen in the past, where it was John Elway making these decisions. I don't know how many times I was sick and tired of waiting and waiting and waiting for these contracts to get done for meaningful players on our team, waiting through the offseason, putting franchise tags on guys and waiting this out. No, we go out and we get Cortland Sutton signed. We go out and we get Tim Patrick signed, and we get him signed to good deals where before, the rest of the market is set and the guy's saying, wait a second, I need more than this. No, I think these are fantastic signings, and I think it opens up the book for even more players to come in.
No, and I agree. I think these are fantastic signings. I even said it on Twitter yesterday. I said, this is what happens. You get your guys at these prices when you don't let them hit the market. See, and that's where John Elway faltered all the time. John Elway would say, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to be Mr. Cheapskate, and I'm going to go ahead and let you hit the market. And then, I can't afford you now. And we're losing players, or we're just signing ridiculous contracts and stuff. And I think George Payton did a great thing here by signing these two guys in the middle of the season, and don't even let them get to free agency. And Jerry Jeudy, everybody save your questions. You and Matt get all your ammo together, because James Merilatt will be on the hot seat next week, and you can have him explain why he thinks Jerry Jeudy is a bust.
There was a comment that I want to bring up, though. Joseph Guzman here does say Jerry doesn't have to be. Doesn't have the size to be number one, and he doesn't. What he is, there's impact makers that can be drafted early. Jerry Jeudy's going to play the slot. We talk about second round not being drafted potential. What was Cortland Sutton narrative when we drafted him? We drafted him to be the number one guy eventually. So don't give me the second round pass for KJ Hamler. The issue with KJ Hamler is he was brought in to be a gadget type guy. He was brought in to be the little guy who can slab in for the slot, be the Deshaun Jackson type player, and eventually convert to a returner. And unfortunately, he's been injured. We haven't had an offensive coordinator that's been able to utilize his strengths. He been somewhat consistent when he sees the field? Sure, yeah, he had a pretty good season last season. I'll give him that. Unfortunately, the leg injuries sidelined him for the year. We also don't know what he's going to come back, what he's going to look like after that injury. He is a smaller player. Unfortunately, being a small guy myself, when we get rocked up, our bodies don't take it as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what his role is. But I don't think either one of them are a bust. I just wanted to see what your opinion was.
Okay. Fair enough. And we'll talk to Mr. Merilatt about it next week.
Keith, you better we're going to have to chat, man. We're going to have to come after Keith. After James.
So, all right. So do you guys think that this is George Payton positioning himself to go after a top free agent? And the reason I say that is, you're not going to attract the free agent quarterback here if you just let two of your top receivers walk out the door. So, Keith, do you think this is George Payton maybe setting himself up to say, hey, look at all these toys that I just acquired for you?
I think George Payton is probably one of the best and most underrated GMs in his first year I've seen in a long time. And I don't think he's just setting himself up for maybe a big name quarterback. I think he's just setting up this team. This team is looking stout with great contracts. We've moved on from Von Miller, and that's freed up a lot of space. We've made key signings like we have done. We've got key players like Justin Simmons already locked up. I mean, we're in a good position, and he keeps signing great players. Even if people give him a bad time for signing guys from the Vikings, he goes out and he gets Weatherly, and it's fantastic signing, a guy that we should be looking at maybe giving a contract at the end of the year as well. I just like the position that he's taken this team, and that could be anything. You could load up this team with a bunch of talent and go out and get a rookie style quarterback or a young quarterback and put him on this team. You could go out and you could get a big name quarterback and still have plenty of weapons and talents in names like Patrick and Sutton.
All right, Matt, and then to you really quick. I mean, do you think George Paton is doing this? And I know he's doing it for the betterment of the team. I mean, that's always the goal of the general manager. But do you think he has a plan in place to bring some guys to attract, a Russell Wilson, a Aaron Rodgers, someone like that?
Absolutely.
To this team.
100%. Absolutely. He just laid down, I think you said the combined total was roughly like $94 million. He just laid down the $94 million red carpet to whatever veteran quarterback he wants to pursue. Or, I mean, same thing with Kisa, or possibly a rookie that he wants to pursue. We talk about the betterment of the team. We highlight Aaron Rodgers, we highlight Russell Wilson, we highlight Deshaun Watson, all these other names. But the truth is, it's going to cost us something to get them, so they're not guarantees. So he did do this for the betterment of the team. But essentially, he's laid out the red carpet saying, you want to come here, we're going to give you everything you need to succeed. That's what he did. And the other part of this is we talked about the contracts briefly, but the combined total of these contracts on a yearly basis is roughly $26 million, if my memory serves me correct. $26 million. That's left us a gigantic amount of cap space to pursue that veteran quarterback, to keep some key pieces like Kenny Young. He knocked it out of the park with these signings. You already know where I think this is going. I know we'll talk about that a little bit more, but yeah, I think it's in the pursuit of a veteran quarterback.
Yeah. And we did take this question to the fans. We asked the fans, hey, you guys, what do you think? What quarterback do you want George Paton to bring in? So we took a poll on Twitter, and this is the results that we got. So we'll have a graphic here in a second.
The one thing I was saying too.
Here we go. The magic of the internet. All right. So we asked him. We gave him 4 options. We said Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, or Teddy Bridgewater, and draft a rookie and let Teddy stick around for a couple years and develop someone like a rookie quarterback. So, and the fan favorite is Russell Wilson. Does that shock you guys, Keith?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I think he's a safe option. You know what I mean? At this point, I don't think he's producing like we saw in the first years of his career. He's a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but geez, for me, if I'm going out there, if I'm going out there and I'm spending the money, I'm just going to go after Aaron Rodgers. I'm not a proponent of doing that, but if you're going to go out there and you're going to make the splash and you're going to make all the cap room, get the right guy, get Aaron Rodgers, and put a team together behind him. For me, that is surprising. I would have guessed Aaron would be on top.
So another question, follow up to you. Aaron Rodgers is going to be 39 years old. How long does he play? Russell Wilson, who's 32 years old, says he wants to play until he's 40, so he could have another 8 years. I mean, Aaron Rodgers could get here and play 2 years, say, you know what, I'm done. Do you really want to make that move and then have that chance that 2 years later you're sitting here sort of like we were after Peyton Manning left and we have no plan? With Russell Wilson, you can go out, you can bring him in, and you draft a guy when he's getting close to the end for him to groom and bring along.
Well, for me, this graph and how we were stacked on this graphic is exactly how I feel. I'm actually at the bottom down here with Teddy Bridgewater and draft a quarterback. Personally. So if I'm voting, but for me, I mean, if I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to waste dollars, in my opinion, on a top quarterback at, you know, a QB1, in the hope and the promise that you can get him here and everything meshes perfect and you can get a Super Bowl or two. Go for the guy who looks like he can get you a Super Bowl or two in the next year or two. In my opinion, that's Aaron Rodgers. It's not Russell Wilson. I don't think that Russell Wilson automatically on this Bronco team makes them a Super Bowl contender next year. Do you guys see the same thing? Do you see that he's automatically, you just put it down next year if we sign Russell Wilson in the offseason? You're okay. Do you feel that way with Aaron Rodgers?
No.
Deshaun Watson?
I don't.
Okay,
probably nobody.
Down here with me.
I don't think anybody.
Then this should be all. Just a second. This should all be flipped, and then Teddy Bridgewater should be the answer.
Well, if we go with Teddy Bridgewater, then we have to sit here and listen to Matt for 2 more years talk about how the guy was so hurt and the Broncos rushed him back.
Oh, that was a one-timer there, Dave. You're throwing low blows now, my friend.
All right, man. What's your thoughts? What do you think George is going to do? What would you do?
Okay, so if you want what I would, let's see.
Really quick, let me throw in a sponsor break really quick before you go, Matt. We just want to let you guys know that tonight's show is brought to you by Willow Seasonings and Blends. You know, make sure that you check them out and put a little spice into your life. All right, Matt.
All right. We're going to keep the momentum going here. So I'll kind of debunk these in the way that in my thought process. Russell Wilson, okay? Denver was nowhere near his list of teams that he wanted to go to when there was a thought that there was a trade or that he was disgruntled in Seattle. Denver's name was nowhere on there. An AFC West rival was in Las Vegas, but it was all bigger markets. There was Chicago. There was a couple other teams. I can't rattle them off the head, but Denver was not included on that list. Russell Wilson has a no trade clause. Let's go to Deshaun Watson, who also has a no trade clause and a dead cap hit of $50 million, which means you're going to have to compensate the Texans at a way inflated price because you're paying them to hold on to that $50 million. So I think that one's almost as good as gone as well, which leaves you, unfortunately with Aaron Rodgers. And as much as I don't want to, I feel it in my gut that is the top target for George Paton. I feel that was a top target on draft day. I feel that could have been the deterrent to not taking a Mac Jones or a Justin Fields, because I think the eggs have been placed in the Aaron Rodgers basket from dating back to draft night. We heard the rumors. It was almost a done deal, yada, yada, this, yada, yada, that. They have been firmly placed in the hands of Aaron Rodgers. Now, if he chooses to stay in Green Bay, I don't think there's a viable option out of these big three. So on this option list, what I would do is exactly what Keith would do. Stick with Teddy Bridgewater.
What is wrong with you two tonight?
You have the capital to quarterbacks are expected to slide. Matt Corral is a top target. There's probably not a good chance it's happening. It's probably not. It's unlikely, but it's not it's not impossible. Sam Howell's out there. Sam Howell is a diverse quarterback. Well, let's not look at the draft. Let's say there's a couple other veterans out there. Matt Ryan is virtually untouchable via trade. However, there is an out in his contract at the end of this season. If Atlanta feels it's time to move on, they're in a good position in the draft to get a Matt Corral, get a Malik Willis. They can go that route if they want to. They're also in cap purgatory, so that might be a way for them to relieve and to officially start the rebuild. No, you're not going to rebuild your franchise around with an aging quarterback. You're just not. Okay, Jimmy Garoppolo. You're not going to rebuild your franchise. Rebuild it around an aging quarterback. It doesn't make sense. So
you're saying we're not in a rebuild mode here?
I think George Paton has done it very well in putting a team together where it is. He said it himself. It's time to revamp. The core is young. The core is young.
It's another John Elway approach of revamp instead of rebuild.
But that's why I said that's.
So we're going to go get us a 39-year-old quarterback and be back.
I don't agree with.
Well, 3 years we'll all be back here talking about this again. All right.
Last thing, the cost to obtain Aaron Rodgers will likely be less than what it would every other quarterback on that list. The cost to obtain him will be less because there's an agreement that he wants out. Green Bay knows that he wants out. Teams are going to look at it at the 8 years. Yeah, and look at the market. It's Pittsburgh, it's New Orleans, it's Carolina, it's Miami possibly. They all have something that they can give up. Those might be preferred destinations. I mean, everyone wants to get their hands on Aaron Rodgers, sure. But the cost to obtain due to age and him wanting to leave, knowing that he won't play, and they have the agreement already that he's done after this season unless he says he wants to stay. I think the cost to obtain in terms of draft compensation will be less.
Okay. All right. Let's move on from that. We've beat that enough. Let's talk Broncos coming out of the bye. It was not a good week to go into the bye. That Eagles game was not friendly to us. So a lot of things. Keith, how can the Broncos rebound offensively and defensively? Let's touch on the offense first. How do we rebound offensively? How do we get this team moving the ball and getting the ball into the end zone? I mean, what do you need to see against coming out of this bye week?
For me, obviously Pat Shurmur comes back off of COVID, comes back in, and for me, he needs to be able to. In an off season, in a bye week, you need to put together a game plan that's a little bit more detailed than what you came out with before. And for me, obviously, I need to see the run game. I want to see the run game though with the pulling blockers that we saw when we went into Dallas and we dominated. It was a completely different run game approach. Everyone saw it, and we were dedicated to it, and we dominated the game in that aspect. The other thing that I want to see and some pre-snap motion. I mean, the one thing that I hate is that we're trying to diagnose this defense in Matt's favorite wide receiver set, which is 5 wide receiver set, no tight ends. It does not keep anybody in, and we just stand there hoping we can diagnose the defense. Where if we can just get a little bit of motion in there, get a Judy moving around like we saw in Dallas once again, not to keep going back to just one single game, but it was those key little things that really opened up this offense and gave us, scoring abilities and moving the ball abilities without having to worry about completely changing the offense from what Pat Shurmur likes to do. So.
Guys, Mike was muted.
Okay, I thought it was me. I was like, oh no, the headphones again. Dang it. I was
no, it's my night having technical difficulties. We've talked about this before. We all know the key to success for this offense is run the ball. Run. We cannot let Teddy Bridgewater chuck the ball 40 times a game. That's just not a recipe for success with Teddy Bridgewater or this offense. So my question to you is, Melvin Gordon, fumbles the ball, we're driving down, we're getting ready to score, fumbles the ball, and then the tackle happened. So do you think that fumble is really going to impact him? And is Vic going to finally lean on Javonte Williams a little bit more?
Absolutely, he should. I mean, Vic's known for throwing players in the doghouse occasionally. I mean, we've seen it happen earlier with Kyle Fuller. I mean, this is a big one. Without that fumble, we don't have the question of the Teddy Bridgewater mishap. We don't have we possibly changed the momentum of that game had that fumble not happened. We get that first down, we move forward, the ball keeps going. That was just as big of a momentum shift as the lack of tackling ability of Teddy Bridgewater, or lack of tackling effort. It was a huge momentum swing. It deterred the game. Do I think we see a change? No. I know Vic trusts his vet. I mean, I know Pat trusts his vets, and he wants to do this running back committee. I also don't trust Pat with running backs. And if you ask me, what are we going to see this week? I'm going to probably tell you we're going to see a lot of 3 wide sets, or we're going to try to make Teddy throw north of 35 times. That's probably what's going to happen. That's what happens more often than not, and it's unfortunate because Keith hit the nail on the head. This team is built on the run game and the efficiency of this offense, but we can't remain efficient when we're not utilizing the run. But bottom line is, it's time to let Javonte Williams carry the rock. We need this kid is the Energizer Bunny to this team. He is the only spark of that offense right now, and I don't know why we don't give him the ball more often. And before you two us off, Keith, you ever mention 5 words again, man? Those are fighting words. Fighting words. Don't ever mention.
What's that?
I said the 5 wide receiver set. Those are fighting words.
Oh, you don't want to see those?
Never again. Ever.
Never.
If I ever see an empty set again, I might just walk out, close the TV, and say, screw this.
All right. Keith, what's Teddy need to do to be better? I mean, there's been concerns about, the way he's played since the concussion that he was rushed back from and everything else. So, what do you need to see from Teddy?
Well, I think you're just trying to set me off. I keep bringing that up.
I'm just
trying
trying to set Matt up, or set Matt off, actually.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Joe Cool today, all
right? So for me, Teddy Bridgewater, it kind of goes back to what some of the keys of the offense is. I need him to start diagnosing plays a lot quicker. He needs to get the ball out of his hand. He needs to make better decisions to throw the ball away. He needs to make better decisions on when he needs to leave the pocket. So I think his decision-making is fantastic if he at least can get a general read for the offense and get through to a second or third read. Where I struggle is when he doesn't get through to second or third reads. It seems like he's not scrambling well. He takes sacks. He doesn't throw away the ball very well. He's not throwing interceptions, but he's not making completions. And for me, like I said, if we can get some zip on those passes coming out within the first 3 seconds of the getting the ball, then that's a different offense than what we've seen from Teddy Bridgewater as well.
So Matt,
I'll keep it simple. He's got to tackle better, Dave. Just for you, he's got to tackle better.
He definitely does have tackle better.
Got to tackle better.
I think he's done a lot of tackle drills this week, though. So Matt, I'm going to ask you, and I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to just ask you this question anyway.
All right, let's go.
So if Teddy Bridgewater comes out and continues to struggle, like Keith said, struggling with his reads, struggling to get the ball out quick, struggling to go through his progressions, and we fall behind big, more than 14 points or so, do they just finally say, you know what, let's throw a lock in there and see if we can do something? Or are you thoroughly convinced that this coaching staff is never going to put lock on the field?
I am thoroughly going to stand by my, what I said earlier, what I've said numerous times, even before the season started. I don't feel that there is confidence in Drew Lock as a quarterback. I don't think he sees the field this season unless there's an unfortunate injury. And the more I think about it, the more I thought, let's just see what the kid's got. Let's see what the kid's got. Let's see what he can bring to the table. If there was any confidence in him, any real belief that this guy could be the option, we would have already seen him. He would have been out there. We wouldn't have had these questions of Teddy Bridgewater. We've heard numerous other people say the same exact statement. It's a lot harder to go from starting your veteran quarterback to the guy he replaced and putting the guy out there and then letting the veteran replace him. It's just a complex dynamic. And if there was legit confidence, I think he would have been out there and got the first crack at it. So I just don't think it's going to happen. And at this point, those extensions we just talked about, they don't really scream support for Drew Lock is going to get a chance to prove he's an option. It proves that either they're going to invest in Teddy. They signed 2 of his favorite. I mean, he has his favorite target. I just don't think we see him at all.
Okay. All right. Let's roll on to the defense, guys. The defense was horrible against Jalen Hurts in the RPO, and we're facing another quarterback. We saw it against the Steelers. Herbert can run. I mean, he can pull down the ball and run. So
north of 90 rushing yards this week, baby. North of 90 rushing yards.
Do we change up the way we handle this? I mean, what do we have to do to slow this guy down? And he's probably about a 10 times better passer than Jalen Hurts as well. So, and probably has a better receiving core.
If you're asking my opinion of what coverage I would play, I'd probably play man on the outside and over the top, and put zone in the middle, and use some blitzing techniques with some stunts up front, and call it a good day. I think every time we go into a game overthinking the running quarterback, we put a defense out there that absolutely gets lit up. We've done it against Baltimore. We did it against the Eagles. For some reason, it seemed like we didn't care about what Dak Prescott was doing, and we came out there and did fantastic. So for me, hopefully we come out there with a different plan, because every time we come out there with a plan for a running quarterback, it's the worst defense we've put together all year long.
Okay. All right, Matt, same thing to you. I mean, how do you roll out the defense to try to stop? You got Eckler, you got to stop. You got Herbert, you got Keenan Allen, you got Williams. I mean, these guys are loaded. I mean, what do we have to do in a quick under 100 word response?
I'll do you one better. I'll save my keys to that offense for this weekend pregame. I'll let it savor for a minute, but I will say Vic Fangio's kryptonite is the running quarterback. It's not even the running quarterback itself. It's just the fear. He overcommits. He's got the old school mentality. And until he can show that he can stop it, teams will continue to expose his, zero blitz, terrible defensive game plan for running quarterbacks. It's his kryptonite. If Vic Fangio was a superhero, running quarterbacks would completely just off him. It would just be done. Just call it quick. We'll start digging the grave for him.
All right, guys. So, boy, we get a heavy dose of football on Thursday. First off, let's just go around really quick.
Do it,
Keith. What's your Thanksgiving plans? What do you got going on? What's your typical Thanksgiving spread look like?
Well, my Thanksgiving went from 3, me, my wife, and my youngest kid coming back home from across town, for Thanksgiving, to ballooning to 7 as the in-laws all came over, and I got my nephew coming over. So we're, typical spread. I think it's the all-American spread. We got the turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing. We'll be can't think of it. Cranberry sauce. It's everything that you'd think of. It's all American, and but most importantly, it's going to be with a little bit more family, which will be awesome. So.
All right. And Matt, I'm taking it you're probably going to have the biggest house full of guests, just from the way you were talking about all the people flying in and everything else. So how many people are you going to have at your house?
Well, I'll just put it to you this way. I get to have 3 Thanksgivings because of how big our family is. So I go to Pueblo. We bring Pueblo in from Arizona. They fly into Denver. From Denver, we go to Pueblo, and we do it there. Thursday, we do it at my wife's house. At my wife's parents' house, and then Friday we do it at our house with my family here in Denver. Large family, man. So we get 3 Thanksgivings, 3 turkeys, like 10 pumpkin pies, all the good stuff. So I'm going to put on about 25 pounds. So
Matt's going to wide receiver to offensive line.
Yeah, no more wide receiver, right? You're going to take Cush's job.
I don't know if the hips could handle that, but we'll see.
And ours went from we were going to have probably about 8 people over. Now I think it's going to be about 4 people. I still got a 23-pound turkey that because I bought it already. So going to smoke a 23-pound turkey. Then we'll have all the other spreads, and do that. And so it'll be a quiet one. So let's get on to the games. 3 games. I mean, do you guys like that the NFL's added that Thursday night game now on Thanksgiving? And sort of gotten away from the traditional Dallas and Detroit. Dallas is on every year. Detroit's on every year. Now we get something that, as we're sitting in our food comas, to watch a game. And at least this one might be entertaining, the Bills and the Saints. So let's start with the night game first, because it seems like it might be the most entertaining of the 3 games. Who do you like, Keith? I mean, what do the Bills need to do to right this ship? Because this thing is sort of going off course, isn't it?
Man, it's a roller coaster ride, man. Up in Buffalo, they lose to the Jags 9-6. They win versus the Jets 45-17, and then they come back and they lose to the Colts 41-15. They don't inspire a whole lot of confidence in trying to make a pick this week, even though we got Trevor Siemian out there, familiar name, out there leading the Saints. And he didn't do all that great last game. I mean, a couple of interceptions, 3 TDs, a couple of interceptions. But, man, what do they need to do? I don't know what it is, man. I'd have to go back and see what they're doing wrong because my goodness, the roller coaster they're on is amazing. If I had to choose I don't know if we're doing scores here, but I think this is going to be still a close game. But maybe the Saints end up winning this game 20-17. I don't know.
Throw a little voodoo on them, huh?
Maybe. I mean, the Saints Thanksgiving Day, man. I don't know, man. Turkey legs abound. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you got, Matt?
I'll keep it short and simple. Bills are struggling. It's the roller coaster. I mean, the Saints, they got Trevor Siemian. So, a lot of what's Keith's saying. But, I think the Bills come in and they take care of what they need to take care of. Josh Allen's a great quarterback. Ryan Dabble's a great offensive coordinator. McDermott's a great head coach. They bring home the W.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Matt on this one. I think the Saints are beat up with their running back room. I mean, so Mark Ingram, not sure if he's going to go. Kamara's, hurting. There's rumors on the street that they might bring in Philip Lindsay, who just got waived or released by the Texans. So who knows what's going to happen there? And then Keith, you said it too. We got Trevor Siemian. So. But Trevor is probably the winningest quarterback we've had since Peyton Manning retired, right? So, yeah. All right. The Bears and the Lions. The Detroit Lions, we were all watching them saying, is this team going to go 0-17? Well,
they screwed that up.
Luckily, the Steelers bailed them out on that one. So the worst they can go is 0-16-1.
Good job, Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So I'm sure my wife was not happy about that game. Trust me. The Bears and the Lions. Who you got, Matt? Really quick.
Oh, I got the Bears hands down. Andy Dalton's starting too, I believe.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, Bears win. Not even close. Bears win.
Keith, you gonna go Lions?
I'm going Lions, baby. I think they're going to get a win. It's Thanksgiving, it's time to give one to somebody. Give one to the Lions, man. I think they can pull it out.
I'm feeling you, Keith, and I'm going with the Lions as well. I think Jared Goff is going to outplay Andy Dalton, and the Lions are going to be on a roll now. So watch out.
This might be the battle of the kickers, guys, not battle of the quarterbacks.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe
it will be. Who knows? They got stabbed. They got what the heck's his name? Prater.
Boyle?
No.
Is Prater in Detroit still?
Not anymore.
Oh, okay. No. Never mind. That's how much I pay attention to Detroit.
No.
So
if it's a battle of the kickers, though, I might be wrong because Chicago has terrible luck with kickers. So
okay,
I might just jinx myself.
The 2:30 game. This one comes right around when everybody's eating. The Cowboys and the Raiders. So I got a question, Matt. You're in Colorado. I'm not sure, Keith, if you'll have this on up there. So Thursday is Colorado Rapids soccer playoff game. Would you watch? You're shaking your head. No, you'd rather watch the Cowboys and the Raiders over the Rapids, Matt?
And to be honest, I might be sleeping.
Well, no. If you're awake, are you going to support your hometown Rapids, or are you going to watch the Raiders and the Cowboys?
Why you gotta challenge my Colorado nature here? You're trying to get me to lose my native card here, or what?
See, now I have a good reason not to watch the Cowboys and the Raiders because these are two teams that are both going like this, and I don't know if I really want to watch it after consuming way too much food.
What I want to see, though, we still got to play the Raiders. I want to see where they're at. I'm all about evaluation and preparedness when it comes to football stuff.
I love how he got out of this. He's talking about how tired he's going to be, but he's going to be evaluating. Sure you are, Matt. Hey, evaluating the inside of your eyelids. So.
I understand football a lot better like this. All right? It's going to be fine.
All right. Who you got in the game, Matt? Cowboys or Raiders?
I'm going to hate myself for saying this, but I think the Raiders win. Cowboys struggled against the AFC West.
Keith, if you were given the choice, would you watch this game or would you watch the soccer game?
You've kind of enticed me a little bit with the Rapids game, man. Because I'll be honest, I hate cheering for either one of these teams. I don't want to cheer for the Raiders. I don't want to cheer for the Cowboys. I don't want either one of these teams to necessarily win. So maybe I'll tune in.
It's on Fox.
I might just have to tune in. Buddy.
Yeah, the Rapid game's on Fox at 2:30. So That's what I'm going to be watching. I'm not going to watch the Raiders and the Cowboys. If I want to evaluate, that's why they have YouTube and all these other
You know what?
media sources.
Reality, what I'll probably be doing is watching like Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving. You know, I got a tribe underneath me, so we'll probably do that.
This
instead.
guy has all the excuses, doesn't he? He just
certainly
cannot
does.
support his hometown
Do you just
Colorado
want me to
Rapids.
be honest? I don't like soccer.
I'm not a soccer fan either, but it's our hometown team, so I'm gonna bandwagon with them.
Go for it.
So,
You do that.
all right, Keith, who do you got in this game? Cowboys, Raiders.
Oh man, I'll go with my heart. Since I wanted the Lions to win, I want the Cowboys to win just so we have a better chance in the NFC West. Raiders get notched down a spot, but 13 points by the Raiders last game, 9 points by the Cowboys. I mean, this could be like a food coma type of snooze fest if you're watching this game after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, definitely. So, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys as well. I don't trust the Raiders, so they've just sort of self-destructed. So, all right, guys. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us on a Tuesday evening. Next week we'll be back to our normal Wednesday show. We just did it this week because of Thanksgiving. So, but hey, everybody, we'll be back on Sunday. We got our pregame, we got our postgame before the Chargers game. So, but everybody, thanks for watching. You know, please like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. You know, get out there, follow us. You know, help us grow. Let your friends know about us. If you like what we do, let your friends know. And everybody have a safe holiday. And make sure you're back with us on Sunday to break down the game. All right, Matt, Keith, any final shots before we go?
Real quick, Broncos got another primetime game. Don't forget, the Broncos and Kansas City Chiefs game has been flexed to Sunday Night Football next week.
That is true. So, Keith, any parting shots?
Oh, just go out there, enjoy your dinner, enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, and can't wait to see you and hear you and see all those subscribers, likers, and on Sunday. That'll be fantastic.
All right, everybody, have a great Thanksgiving. Do not forget that James Marilat from 104.3 The Fan will be joining us next week on 4th and 99. So make sure you are here with us.